Hey, y'all, welcome to the second episode of the Phoenix Nest podcast, where integrators rise to new heights in business, success, and profitability. Today, we're going to be focusing and talking about taking your business from surviving to thriving. I'm Joshua.
And I'm Pippin, and this podcast is your guide to building a thriving business in the custom AV industry. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, you'll gain the tools, insights you need to elevate your business and provide exceptional experiences for your clients. Today, we'll be reviewing things such as the New York Times bestseller from Patrick Lencioni, and we'll be going through Pip's Tips, where we'll go over some small tips with big outcomes to help you grow your business. But first, we'll be meeting with one of the industry's most exciting people, Jennifer Mallet. Welcome, Jennifer, and thanks for coming to the Phoenix Nest.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're so excited you're here. For the few of you that don't know, Jennifer Mallet is the president and CEO and founder of Level Up Automations, and recently was in CE Pro's 40 Women to Watch. Jennifer, if you don't mind, I would like to read your bio from here. Is that okay with you?
Sure, checks in the mail. Absolutely. Roll it up.
Awesome. Well, Jennifer Mallet, owner Level Up Automations, treasurer of the CEDIA Board of Directors. Mallett has been in the home technology industry for 24 years, with 15 years experience on the manufacturer side and 8 years experience as the owner of Level Up Automation. She founded Massachusetts-based Level Up in 2016 with a vision to bring outstanding home automation experiences to the mid-market segment. In 2020, she founded Level Up Franchise, which has pioneered the first national franchise system in the industry. Level Up Automation creates smart homes and intelligent buildings in Massachusetts, Arizona, Virginia, Connecticut, New York, Louisiana, Florida, Ohio, and Maryland. And there's more to come, I'm sure you're going to tell us about.
Yeah.
Mallett served as the head of the residential custom installation business unit for Bose. She graduated Bentley University with a BS in marketing and is a CEDIA certified outreach instructor. That's
Wow.
amazing, Jennifer.
Thanks, Joshua. Wow. That sounds great.
We just heard some amazing accomplishments of yours, but tell us a little bit about you. We want our listeners to really understand who you are as a person, as an owner, as an integrator, and then we'll get into some questions.
Sure, yeah. I was introduced to the industry about 24 years ago. And, I love this industry. And it can be a very crazy place. I mean, things are always changing. The business you have today might not be the business you have in 3-6 months from now. And I really love this industry. I fell in love with it. In 2010, I went to my first CEDIA Expo in Atlanta. And what really struck me, besides the big shiny booths, was really all the small mom and pop operations there are within this industry and how special that is. People inventing wire runners and all sorts of different things, from like their garage. And I thought, this is the industry. These are my people. This is where small business owners and entrepreneurs can be creative and thrive still. And I haven't looked back. I absolutely love it. And there are days that I wish I opened up a bakery or something else a little more straightforward, right? But at the end of the day, we help solve people's problems. And I love working with other integrators as we grow this industry.
I feel like you still kind of have a bakery. You're baking your clients' expectations and ideas into truly exceptional experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's a really good point because, we're creating a service product on a production line every single day, right? And we've got weather, vans, all sorts of things that can put us off track. So I think that as we look at like our business, the service production portion of it is really exciting, but also challenging. I'm sure bakers have their own problems. Without a doubt.
I'm sure they
want
do.
enough baking soda.
Something like that. Now, Jennifer, you're so passionate. I love it. And that's what's great about this industry. People that have been in it a long time are still passionate about it, and it's ever, evolving as well. So, when it comes to helping integrators, I've heard you speak at a lot of different conferences. You have a lot of speaking engagements,
Mhm.
and I think it's so awesome that you're sharing your passion with everyone. So what are you passionate about when it comes to helping integrators? I know you just talked about the mom and pop shops, and that was an impression on your heart, but tell us more about that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, part of what I learned when I ran the residential custom business at Bose, I had a little over 100 integrators in the US and Canada, most of them mom and pop shops. And we had, 135 retail stores, and we were doing custom installation at that time for audio. And really, what was impressed upon me is like how hard it is to be a road warrior, run your
Mm,
business, manage all the paperwork and operations within your business, getting home late, and then having customers and all manufacturers and everything else in the mix. So, what I'm most passionate about is making that easier, and helping small business owners figure out how can they scale their business. So, once you get to 500 or a million, like what's after that? Because it's a big leap, and typically process needs to change, marketing needs to change, um, potentially customer engagement needs to change. So that's what I'm most passionate about, is taking that and figuring out, okay, how can we help small businesses run faster, and scale in a very complex industry. So
yeah.
when I started franchising, some people thought it was a little crazy, to be honest. Like they're like, well, this is not possible. It is possible, but it's just very hard, because it is complex. There's manufacturers, distributors, rep firms, products every other day coming down the pike. But really, I think that my passion lies really in helping figure out and curate what's scalable for people so that they can have a good livelihood.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
So hearing you talk about that, like there's always going to be struggles with every one of our integrators. Our topic for this month's podcast is surviving to thriving. There are so many integrators out there with the economy, with the price changes in our industry that are struggling to find ways to set themselves apart. What do you think those major challenges are that each integrator should focus on?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think as we see things like tariff announcements happen, now is the time. Cash flow management has to be at the top. And this is a business where, depending upon how much of your business is new construction versus retrofit, um, making sure that you have on a monthly basis a great cash flow plan. You understand what's moving in and what's moving out, and you're able to plan for it as much as possible. I think all of us, especially in the construction side of the business with new construction, there are often delays, right? You might be planning that cash flow from 1 to 3 to 6 months out, and it might be a year, depending upon what's happening. I think that's
Yeah.
happened to most integrators. And if you're planning on that cash to come in and you've got operations, you need to figure out, okay, if it's not going to come in, what happens? So I think the strategies around how to, when you have a business like this, how to make sure you're filling the pipeline for the middle market, to keep that cash flow going, and what are the tools and things that you can leverage to make sure you've got money coming in the door. You can keep your staff, maybe grow your staff, and things like that. I'd say that's really top. We'll see what happens with the industry this year. I'm still very optimistic about it. But anything can really happen. We've been through a couple housing crises and all sorts of things. At the end of the day, I think it's that planning portion. I think that's most helpful.
So you brought up cash flow. I'm going to interject
Mm.
here real quick, Josh. You brought up cash flow management and like filling that pipeline. And something that you hear over and over is finding ways to, like, you've heard the saying, like pebbles, rocks, and boulders. Like all of us integrators want that big, 300,000, 500,000, $1 million job. But you see in our industry where some of them start to lose focus on those $5,000 network upgrades, or the $10,000 outdoor audio solutions, where it's quick turns that your salespeople can bang out the proposal, get it out to the customer, get the job done. You can get the wire in and be done. Where we all seem to focus on those really big projects that take 18 months but they don't put revenue in our pockets right away.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's that 5 to 20,000, 5 to 50,000. Those are great. We'll take those all day. And they're great for newer technicians that come into the industry too. So there's an opportunity to help people kind of like step in to the industry through those projects that aren't giant.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you've got to know what you're good at as well. Like what are the strengths that your team has? Can you share with us some other proven strategies that you've seen help integrators have a long-standing CI business?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's we have a lot of people in the industry who've been, doing this long time, 30, 40 years, and they're still in it, still advising. I would say that one of the biggest things you can do is really have people around you who are supporting you and coaching you. And whether that be a great rep relationship you have or someone else in the industry that maybe is not a direct competitor in a different state that is willing to really share what's working well for them. And also locally, working with other integrators. I think while we may go head to head with projects, we're big believers that we're really in this together. And there's times when having a great relationship with your area integrators is very helpful. Maybe they need a brand or something else. They need a little help. Maybe they need some additional labor resources for a large project. So I think that not going it alone and leveraging coaching relationships, relationships within the industry, and then relationships with your other integrators in your area is really, I think, really important.
Um,
Absolutely.
so you talk about like that relationship when you talk about vendors, reps, integrators. For you personally, as you've grown through your company and as it's expanded, what do you feel how have those relationships changed, and how have you changed to meet those relationships and keep them beneficial to you?
hmm Yeah, that's a great question. I think what we've learned is that it's really important to double down on relationships. This is not an industry where you're going to take a large investment, put a lot of money into it, and see results real quick. And I think that's part of what makes it special is that it's heavily relationship based. So whether that be an architect, a builder, an interior designer, another integrator, I think authentic relationships in this industry really is the key to that long-standing business.
Well, thank you. That's exactly what we were hoping to hear during this call. When we talk about surviving to thriving, you know, being able to step out, get out of your comfort zone. We had our book. We do a little book review every month, and it was talking about avoiding conflict in business. And so many people avoid conflict when it can be so beneficial because of that uncomfortable side of things. And as you said, those relationships, it may feel uncomfortable to, double down on something that you're not seeing benefit or profit from right away. But in the long term, building that trust, building that relationship, whether it be with an architect, a designer, a builder, that's going to be helpful. You just may not see it. And it's going to feel weird. It's going to be hard. You're going to have worries and you're going to be scared, but you've got to find something to be passionate about, something to really put your heart into and stay with it.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Yeah. And, sometimes people might recognize they're not the right person to be doing that interface work with, right? Maybe
Yeah.
they're an introvert, but they're just started the business, really great technician, great on the technical side, can sell very well. But then when it comes to the networking events, they're just like out of their comfort zone. So there's a few ways you can handle that, right? You can overcome your fear and put on a good face and not hate it and start to love it because it absolutely is critical, I think, in this industry. But the other thing you can do is hire somebody who's really good at it,
Yeah.
has like a natural affinity for networking and building trust. Because you use the word trust, and that's really what it's all about, right? Like people do business with people they like and they trust. And in order to do that, you really got to get in front of them. So we've had some success really kind of pulling new people into the industry from outside the industry who have, different backgrounds that do well here.
Yeah. Well, Thank you so much, Jennifer, for all of that wonderful insight. Josh, I don't know if you have any more questions. I feel that there's so much information she could give us, but it's kind of hard to like find the right questions there.
Yeah, Jennifer, one question I would ask just to
Mhm.
end us here is,
Sure.
where can people find you? And is there anything exciting going on with your business that you'd like to talk about right now?
Yeah, I think that's great. Thank you for that. People can find us at www.levelupautomation.com. And I think the thing that I'm most excited about, you mentioned that I sit on the CEDIA board, volunteer there, which has been just a fantastic growing experience. So I would say anyone who's looking to get involved in volunteering for CEDIA, definitely now's a great time to do it. The thing I'm most excited about is the board is going along with a bunch of different manufacturers, and I think maybe even rep firms and such are going to DC in March, and we have our second lobby day, which really is all about advocating for our trade and making
Cool.
sure that we really have the right to work. We need to have the right to work. We are really the best at what we do. And, providing that visibility at that level directly in people's offices and then following up with them, that work, I think, is probably the thing I'm most excited about this year, because I really see it as we're making things move. And I believe that at the end of the day, we're a legitimate trade, and we
Yeah,
deserve to be recognized, and we deserve to be able to work and to grow our next generation of integrators. So that's happening in March.
we're a skilled trade, but unfortunately, in our legislation, there's no regulation. Electricians have to be certified, plumbers have to be certified. You know, a lot of contractors do, and I think as a whole for our trade, getting something like that set up to give our technicians, our programmers, some more validity to what they do and be able to stand up for themselves is huge.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yep. And I think that we're really making progress there. So that's why it's my most exciting thing.
Well, that's so
Jennifer, it's so
exciting.
exciting talking to you. We're so happy that someone like you is in leadership in CEDIA
Thank you.
and helping progress this industry forward. Thank you so much for your time today. We're going to go into Pip's tips. If you have time, we'd love to have you help us with that as we speak to integrators a bit more on
Sure.
how to grow their companies.
Yeah. Would love that.
Well, everybody, welcome to Pip's Tips again. We're going to give you some small tips with great outcomes, really help you find ways to introduce profit into your business. The first one we're going to talk about is coming up with creative ways to get your products in front of specifiers. I'm part of a Facebook group with some really amazing integrators, and somebody asked about ways to drive free business to their company or cheap ways to drive business. One of the suggestions I had was if you have an outdoor demo kit, a lot of integrators are buying outdoor demo kits, um, and set it up at an open house with a builder you have a relationship with. That gives you the opportunity to one, get your product out there in front of everybody that comes through that open house, but it also gives you a way to kind of lend some credibility to your builder and say, hey, if anybody comes to me for a system like this that they see at your open house, I have this that I'm going to give you for every system I sell. Now, Jen, you've been in this industry for a long time. What are some creative ways that maybe you have done that, got your product in front of an integrate, not an integrator, in front of a specifier such as an architect, a designer, or a builder?
Yeah, we're big fans of working with, we call them braid partners, builders, remodelers, architects, interior designers, and electricians, as really great trade partners. So I'll speak to lighting, because that is, it's just exploding, right?
Yeah.
Lighting controls. So one of the things that we do is we offer um, one area of lighting control as part of a project. So that's big because one, if the builder is not really understanding where lighting control is going, beyond some very basic functions, it gives them the ability to really understand what it is, and then see that the client is truly delighted with it, because that is absolutely a leading category. And like once you have it in one room, you're going to want it the rest of your house, right? So from an investment perspective, we find that that's really effective. And most architects and interior designers understand lighting, right? And they understand
Yeah.
the value of controlling lighting, the temperature of light, and things like that. So that's one of our leading strategies is giving, couple switches with a hub as part of that.
That is huge.
Mm.
Like you think about walking into these big custom homes or even these semi-custom spec homes where you see 5 wall switches and it's like you have such a gorgeous home. We could condense that all down to 1 or 2 and I call it wall acne. A lot of people call
Yes.
it that, but it's terrible. And you were talking about like light switches. I would get a 4-gang box at Home Depot and put standard light switches in it, and I'd set that on a table, and then I'd get a keypad
Yep.
and I'd set it next to it and I wouldn't even talk about it, but I'd be discussing with, and they're like, why do you have these here? And it's simple ways to really introduce ideas because builders generally look at us as a headache. Unfortunately, they do because our everything we do is very involved, very in depth, and there's a lot of planning. Yes, they do that as well, but building, plumbing, electrical kind of just all fits together.
Hmm.
Where then when we add stuff in, it kind of throws a wrench in it.
Hmm.
Um, the next part about that, you seem to be really good at it. You have a great online presence with your website.
Thank you.
Um, but introducing social media, so many integrators, we talked about it on our last episode where, an integrator started off as a technician and now they have their own business and they're not marketing. They're not, they don't do social media development and strategies, but it's a huge thing a huge part of what we do. How do
Um,
you implement social media into your
yeah.
daily business?
Yeah, it's a great question. And they're likely exhausted by the time they get home, right? And if they
Yeah.
don't have a teenager in the house that's taking care of it for
Yeah.
them. And also, like, with all the algorithms changing, you can post things and you only get 3 likes and then you stop doing it, right? But I think the biggest piece of advice I have is just sticking to it and having frequency, and utilizing outside resources if you need it. And showing, I think what we find that's most effective, we post 3 to 5 times on social media every week at the franchise level. And then our units put a local flavor in. So we kind of keep that cadence going,
Yeah.
which helps with scaling. It also helps with small business owners who might not have the opportunity to post 3 times a week. Um, and then I think that really showing actual work is really impactful. So stock images are everywhere. Show yourself actually doing the work. It doesn't need to be a big fancy rack.
Yeah.
Be
Show your techs
authentic.
pulling a wire.
Yeah, pulling a wire. But
Yeah.
that shows what we do, right? We conceal wires. And
Yeah.
most people have a mess of wires behind any given thing at any given time. So we found that that's been the most responsive is like the people behind the work and then the actual work. So it doesn't need to be fancy is what I'd say, and just keep going with it a couple times a week. We have interns here from the high school that come in. Great for them. They're looking to get into
Yeah.
business. Highly recommend utilizing our younger people. They're really great at social media.
That's such a great point. With social media nowadays, when I was an integrator, I would just post like photos throughout a job. And I might not have gotten business from each one of those, but seeing the interaction and the engagement, like all of a sudden I'd have a remodeler that would add me that I didn't even know. And it might not be, an immediate benefit right then, but then 6 months down the line, that remodeler's talking to a client and they're like, "Oh, I'd love to do a video wall." And he's like, "Oh, I remember looking at this social media. I'm gonna go back and look for that again."
Yeah.
Something as simple as that, and it's free marketing.
Yeah. 100%.
Um, so we talked about, like, in the beginning, getting products in front of builders. What about partnerships with specifiers and builders? So for me, that was really important. Even though my specifier, like I have friends that are interior designers, we didn't specifically go and tell our clients, hey, use this interior designer right at the beginning. But I went out to them and I said, hey, I can find ways to really enhance what you're doing. You're spending all this time creating a beautiful experience for your clients. And then historically, as an integrator, I come in and I start throwing stuff in the ceilings and it just doesn't fit. And then I'm like, but if you bring us in the beginning, we can start working together to using invisible speakers, hiding technology, doing different things that really enhance what they do, enhance the overall experience for the client. What are those partnerships like for you, and how have you engaged with those specifiers?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, within our industry, like our mission is to be trusted advisors as all of this technology just continues to fly and change, right? And so interior designers and architects, it's hard for them to keep up. It's hard for us to keep up sometime, right?
Yeah.
So we take a highly educational approach. So one of the most popular courses, CEU courses that we take, where interior designers and architects can earn credits, is hidden technology in the home. Huge
Uh-huh.
hit. And you know what? Some of that content's a couple years old, still wows people today. They still don't know that you can hide completely invisible speakers. They don't know you can have motorized mounts, and even things like automated shades are still like, we're so used to it, but really for other people, it's like, wow. So we teach a lot of courses through the CEDIA Outreach Instructor Program. The hidden technology in the home is very good. So we'll do, one a month. Sometimes it's in Zoom, sometimes it's in our showroom. But taking that place, because that's a great opportunity for us to educate, build a relationship without selling. And I think that interior designers and architects and people in the build community are used to being sold
Being sold
to,
to.
and they can
Yeah.
they smell it from like a mile away, for good reason.
They probably hear it more than you do as an integrator from, us as reps. They've got every lighting store they go into, every tile store. It's like they're
It's
just
fatigue.
constantly being bombarded.
Yeah, completely. And so that adds value for them, right?
Yeah.
Not only are they earning a credit that they need to keep their own certifications, but it allows us to have dialogue, and it's not scripted, and it is brand agnostic, and a really powerful way. Every single one we have had has always had a fantastic um response from the trade partner. And there's a variety of some of the manufacturers also have CU courses that are specialty that can be taught too. So it doesn't need to just come from the CU organization. So I would say definitely for integrators to look into that and get
Yeah.
involved in that, free lunch and learn.
There you go.
Yeah.
Great tips, Jennifer. Thank you so much for being part of Pips Tips today. For
Thank
all of
you.
you that have
Oh,
joined us, I hope these little insights give you something to, spark that passion back in what you're doing to grow your business. Again, Pips Tips here, small tips, big outcomes. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Wonderful time getting to know you and having you to be part of this. Josh, I'll let you finish up with a goodbye here because you knew Jennifer to start. So
Yeah, again, just so exciting to have someone like you on our podcast. Thank you again, and we look forward to spending more time together and hearing more about your education to our industry.
awesome. Thank you for having me, and love what you guys are doing. Thank you for bringing us to the industry. It's fantastic.
you're welcome. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful week. Hey, everybody. Thanks for being part of Pips Tips. I hope these small insights will give you quick ways to grow your business and become more profitable. Now we're going to go over to Josh with this month's book review.
Hey, yeah. So this month we've got the five dysfunctions of a team. Excuse me. I was going to go to the ideal team player, which is another one of his books. But this book is by Patrick Lencioni. Lencioni. It's an awesome book. It's so good. It's definitely one of my top five. You should absolutely read it. It's a really easy read. He writes it like a parable or a story. And so you're just kind of in the story. You can't wait for the next part to come. And so Patrick, by the way, is one of the most amazing storytellers alive today, in my opinion. And when it comes to leadership books, this is definitely top five. So in the book, there's this main character that is hired to be the new CEO and leader. And Catherine, the main character, she takes her team to these offsite meetings to discuss the five dysfunctions of a team. And listen to this, Pippin. Absence of trust is the first dysfunction of a team. Fear of conflict is the second. Oh, I got a thumbs up here.
They
Avoidance
already
of
like you.
accountability. And then inattention to the results. So tell me, Pippin, when you hear those five dysfunctions, what do you think? First of all, absence of trust. Is that something that you've noticed in places where you've worked in the past?
So I really feel absence of trust goes across everything, whether it be the CI industry or not. Anytime you're working with clients, the minute they don't trust you, as an owner, your employees are your clients. So when I talk about clients, I'm talking owners to employees, employees to clients. Um, so without that bit of trust, you see it. If my techs didn't trust that I was selling the things that were going to, be installed easily, properly, work right, they were going to come back to me and throw those wrenches into the system. So whether it be from you as an owner to a tech or programmer, a salesperson, a project manager, that trust has to be there, because at the end of the day, their family and the food that they put on the table is, all based off of whether or not they trust that you're going to be able to create business and profits for them to succeed.
Yeah, it's so key. And it's true. You have to have major trust with your teammates, with all your managers, everybody that you work with. You also need to have that trust with your clients, with your builders, whoever it is that you work with that supplies your work for you. You've got to have that trust there. And if you don't have that, that leads to the next dysfunction, which is fear of conflict. That's something I've seen a lot of in a lot of businesses that I've worked at, which is this inability to feel like your voice matters and you can bring up something that should be brought up, that's
That
kind of hiding in the
uncomfy
dark.
topic.
Yeah, what do you
Yeah.
think about that?
People are afraid to be uncomfortable in situations. I mean,
Mhm.
as an owner, a lot of what you do is going to be uncomfortable, but that's part of the reason we do this. Like, sometimes you can't, I used to manage teams, and one of the hardest things to do is to sit with somebody and say, "Hey, you really are struggling at this," or I really need you to step up your game on showing up on time," or things like that. So those uncomfortable situations, they're when you're afraid to have that conflict, can lead you down a path where you're stuck with teammates that their expectations aren't known, because you're not setting the expectation or you're not holding them accountable. And all that does is create a hostile work environment for people, because you hire that new tech who's excited to be in their industry, or that new programmer, and they see the veteran programmer showing up late every day, and they just do whatever they want. But because they're a veteran programmer and you're afraid to have that conversation with them, they do whatever they want, and it
Yeah.
makes those new employees scared and not want to be there.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, absolutely. And it leads, again, this is a trickle effect. It leads to a lack of commitment a lot of times, because when people aren't bought into the ideas because they haven't been able to process through them or argue through them, if you will, even. One of my favorite parts of the book is at the end, the team is now functional and a new player gets added and they start like going through all this conflict, and they've never seen that before. A company that goes through it in a healthy way, but still like everyone really speaking up and making sure their voice is heard. It can feel like uncomfortable, but it's really good, because after that you've got commitment from everyone, because everyone has
Yeah.
understood all the arguments, and now they know, hey, this company is on the right path and the best path moving forward for our team. And then one of the things you get also is an avoidance of accountability. Talk about that a little bit, Pippin. Have you seen
So
that?
just like what we were just talking about, the avoidance of accountability, when expectations aren't set, there's not trust built into that. And with trust, it kind of ties into like a sense of, worth in your company. One, if you don't have a sense of self-worth in your company, that could be tied to the, trusting your leadership. Um, I don't want to talk too much about it, but like here at Phoenix, Chris trusts us with a lot and we trust him. We've built something huge, and I know that I can go to anybody in our team and speak about something that's not right with me. I but I also know that, for example, if you see me doing something, you're going to hold me accountable, because we all trust each other. If you can build that in a team, from my years in the military, being able to trust each other, but then holding each other accountable, it really gives everybody a sense of ownership of the project, the job, the company, and it just builds on top of itself, and it continues to build.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the last one, the fifth dysfunction, is an inattention to results. I think there's a lot of teams out there that aren't focused because the leader and the managers and all the leaders really aren't pointing towards that. That's not their daily focus. They don't remind themselves, this is the goal. This is what we're trying to achieve. And that gives everyone the mindset that they need to have to operate within that culture that they have there. So I'm sure you've seen that as well throughout your
Yeah.
years.
So like you think about results, and we've both been in sales for years. And one of the things to think about is you see so many companies that start driving these KPIs, these key points indicators, or these key performance indicators, whatever you want to call it. And they have like 30 of them. And if you're expecting your team to hit 30 indicators of results or performance,
Mm-hmm.
they're not able to focus on any one of those things.
Right.
So if, as a leader, if you take 3 of them, 3 that are very important to you, and you get everybody on your team focused on those results, you're going to succeed on those. And then you can move to another 3 because you've already figured out how to do the 3 that you just did, and your team has found a way to be successful with those results. Then focus on the next ones. If you come at somebody just like with a child, if you come, I have a 7 and a 5-year-old, and if I go to them and say, I need you to, make sure you're cleaning your room, brushing your teeth, doing this, doing that, they're not going to get it. And unfortunately, managing a team is like being a parent. You've got to give an expectation of success, but you also have to be realistic with yourself and what you're expecting your team to do.
Yeah, and repeating it a lot, being a chief reminding officer is really important as well.
I like that, chief reminding officer.
Yeah, well, that comes from the books, right? So
Yeah.
this book is amazing, and through the book, through the main character, Catherine, Patrick Lencioni teaches how to restructure your team, how to have vulnerability-based trust, how to operate in healthy conflict, how to have a strong commitment, produce a culture of peer-to-peer accountability, and focus on team results. This is one that you won't easily put down. Patrick also has 2 different podcasts that are available: At the Table with Patrick Lencioni and the
I
Working
love that
Genius
podcast.
podcast. Yeah, they're good. They're both on a break right now since the fall, but they'll be coming back this year, so it'll be great. But there's lots of episodes for you to catch up on. And so that'll be great. So again, the 5 dysfunctions of a team with Patrick Lencioni. It's really great. Enjoy.
Hey, we'll have a link to this book in our description. Feel free to comment. Let us know things that you want to know. We'd love to discuss this. We'd love to be more interactive with all of you. And we look forward to having you on the next month with our next book review. Thanks, Josh.
See you guys.
Hey, everybody. You're going to notice we look a little bit different. Josh and I both had to hop off and take care of our dealers here. It was wonderful. Josh, thank you for bringing Jennifer to our podcast. It was great getting to know her. What insights do you really feel our integrators should really take back with them from what she said?
Yeah, well, Jennifer, she's so wise and has been around the industry for a while. And so, yeah, she certainly had some wonderful insights for our dealers, and just making sure you understand cash flow was king for her. And it's what she brought out first. And I think that's so important to make sure you understand that and how you can grow your business there. But also, you can reach out and get a hold of Jennifer and ask for more insights from her. But she's doing so much in our industry, and a great person to know for sure.
Yeah. I will say, for all of our integrators that are listening to this, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. We love to hear your comments. And if there's any questions you have, feel free to reach out to somebody from Phoenix Marketing. We want to be there as a business partner to you, help you grow. Again, thank you so much. And as we've said before, now you know, and knowing's half the battle. Thanks for coming to the Phoenix Nest.
Thanks, y'all.